Well. What do we have here? We have a 40-year-old mom looking at the eye candy of the young. Talk about feeling all kinds of squirmy in your seat in the theater. This is our review of Ma. Check it out. What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm one of your hosts, as always, C-Dubs. And as you guys can see, I'm running solo on this video. And guys, the wife and I saw a few movies this weekend, and we're getting around to making the reviews. And first on the docket is Octavia Spencer's Ma. Now, this movie, I had some real high hopes for. This was a movie that actually was pretty high on my radar, and I know that seems kind of strange, but man, my first love in cinema is horror movies. And, you know, horror of any genre I'm into. This had potential to be in the vein of your Psychos or your Miseries, if you will. So there was a lot going into it. I was like, oh, this is going to be real cool. I was like, not to mention, you know, it's not every single day, you know, we get a woman as a villain in a film, as well as an African-American woman in a film. So I'm always looking for something new and original from Hollywood. We're bombarded with sequels and remakes constantly, that to see something like this, though it may kind of resemble other movies, or maybe there is another version of this movie somewhere out there that I don't know of, this felt original in its concept and so simplistic in its concept to me that I was like, why has this not been done yet? So, gotta say, going into it, as always, guys, I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, and the badass, break it down, give you a score, and let you know if you spend your hard-earned money or see it streaming or something, guys. So first off, the good, Octavia Spencer. I mean, she kills it. She's absolutely fantastic in the role. She's having a lot of fun with it. She really did give me the heebie-jeebies sometimes, made me feel real awkward and slippery and slimy in my own seat. Just the way she looked at some of the young boys in the group. If you're not really up to par with what this movie is about a group of kids that get together, and they, you know how they do. Sometimes you go and you stand on the corner and you ask, you know, an adult to buy you some booze, right? Well, this lady decides to go ahead and do that, and then she says, you know, if you're going to be safe, come drink at my house, and some crazy shit happens from there. So again, she makes it really awkward. She makes you feel for her at the same time, and realizing that she's also a predator at the same time. And what she has gone through, guys, and what this movie shows is pretty crazy. It makes you think back on maybe how you've treated people in school, and or how you were treated in school. Just know that if you were a victim of bullying of any kind, you know, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler to the film. I'm not going to tell you what exactly happened, but again, if you were bullied at any point in time, just know, I mean, everyone gets bullied at some point in time in their life. Most bullies are bullies because they're being mistreated or unhappy at home, so they have it worse than you probably do, and they're just taking it out on you. And just know there is a light at the end of the tunnel. As you get older, you don't have to be what they're trying to make you out to be. You can be who you want to be, and it's quite all right. You know, again, just look, I mean, when I was a kid, liking any of this stuff back here, dude, you were completely made fun of, and now look at it. It's the most popular stuff in the world right now, making billions and billions of dollars, right? Now who's the jokesters, right? The posers coming to see the movies that were made from me, right? So guys, don't let bullying get to you. Sorry for the PSA on that, but yes, it makes you think about some of those things that maybe you've done or had done to you. And you kind of start to feel for her in the same time of realizing that she is just up to no good. She is just not a good human being. There's something wrong here. There's a screw loose or two. And I can't say for sure that I can just chalk it up all to, you know, her experiences when she was younger or in high school or getting bullied. There had to have been something more there, because just, you know, again, I just can't fathom going to this extreme. I mean, I know we do see it, unfortunately, in our everyday lives, you know, with shootings in school and things like that. So it's unfortunately very terrible that we get to these things. But again, there had to have been a screw loose or two. But she does such a good job of making you believe in that, as well as feel for her at the same time. And the kids don't do too bad, even though there's some, you know, stereotypical teenage angst in it. But it's there for a reason, because a lot of us do these things when we're younger. In fact, most of us do a lot of these stupid things when we're younger. So again, I don't want to say and call it cliche, because in parts, a lot of this is true. But the kids, they do a pretty good job for the most part. There's maybe one or two of the kids. They're not really big focal point in the movie, but they're acting maybe a little off. But for the most part, the two main girls and the main boyfriend interest, they both, I think all three of them do a really good job. There's a few actors in here that, I didn't see coming, and I don't want to mention it because I think it might be a good surprise for you guys as well. But don't go into it looking at the cast. Just go and enjoy the movie. This movie's a good enough movie, I would say, to go maybe a matinee or, late at night, just trying to get maybe some creepy willies in there. It's not super scary. It's just more like intense and just more of a weird creep factor, if you will. The bad of this movie is that it wasn't what it kind of advertised itself to be. She doesn't really do very much in terms of being like this really crazed out wacko until the very, very very end of the third act of the movie. Everything else before that, she's just kind of creepy, looking for friends, and then just kind of being the person you don't want to hang around anymore and trying to fit in. Probably the worst parts to this movie, in my opinion, the parts that I just didn't feel and made me kind of question the director ability. And again, I did not check out who directed this. I'm just trying to get this review out real quick, but there's some scenes, especially when it first starts and she brings them back to their house and they're, basically turning her basement into the hot spot to hang out and drink and smoke and do whatever it comes merry, if you will, when you're a young teenager. They're all partying and she's kind of starting to party with them. At first, it kind of happens real fast. After the first night, by the next night, it's already like the hottest place in town. And I was just like, where the hell did this come from? And then on top of that, all the music that's being played in the film, especially during the party times, are music that she would have been listening to from her era as a teenager in school in the 80s and or maybe early 90s. So it's just like, I was like, these kids wouldn't be listening to this music. They'd probably be making fun of it. They definitely wouldn't want to be partying out to it or smoking out to it or making out to it. So it's just like, and she's in there doing the robot, and then the kids are doing the robot with her. It just felt disconnected in that part. I just didn't feel like it was the same era that we would be living in. And again, in hindsight, it's so easy for me to say this, but, better option that what they could have done is, had her put on that music and then the kids maybe rag her or make fun of it and then to try to conform and be cooler towards the kids. Then maybe the next time she could have conformed and started playing more modern music and say, oh, now this is it, Ma, that's how you do it. And having her kind of conform to them type of thing. My wife put up a good, counterpunch to that, in those small towns, it's my way or the highway type of thing. If you want to come and hang out at my house, you're going to listen and watch what I want. In her, I can't flow with that. It is a good point. It is a possibility, but it's never stated first and foremost. Not to mention, again, if you're trying to become one of the cool kids like she was trying to do and gain fun, usually you conform or kind of become with what you're trying to, surround yourself with. So I didn't really feel that. Not to mention, another option could have been if she was playing more modern music, but in her head, she was reliving her times listening to her music. But again, they missed out on that opportunity. So again, this part of the movie just really disconnects, and that by far is the worst part of the movie, I think. But the badass is the last 30 minutes, man, or maybe the last 15 minutes most of all. There's some real cringy stuff where you're just like, oh, how old is this actor? And I get it, they're all professionals, but in my mind, I was just like, oh, she's touching them in places, she's making them do things, there's some touching and rubbing, and I'm like, ah! So I was like, I just felt really weird and awkward sitting there watching this. And I know if roles were reversed, this movie probably would be, I hate to say it, would probably be getting bashed left and right. But it was really creepy, and I think, and it's actually a credit to the movie that it made me feel this way. But unfortunately, it's just so far at the end of the movie that by the time the good stuff starts, you've already dealt with this disconnect and her trying too hard and just, not knowing if you should feel sorry for her or want her dead, And then by the end, you're just like, all right, she's a terrible person and she just needs to go. And the very ending of the movie, I saw coming a mile away, and I think you will too. that was probably the biggest cliche of the film. But, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you tie something up in a nice bow and you deliver it. And hey, man, if someone wants to bring me a pizza's good any way it comes for the most part, right? So, you know, anyway, if you want to bring me a gift, I'll accept it. I mean, I have to like it, but overall, I did enjoy it. I'd give this like a low 3, maybe a 2.5 stars out of 5. Again, matinee is fine. Otherwise, you know, stream it, watch it on, you know, one of the apps or something like that, like Shudder, if you will, when it finally makes its way there. But again, she did do a good job. Overall, me and the wife did have a good time. But like I said, if you have a hard time watching certain like situations with adults and children, again, I don't know how old these actors are, and I know they're all professionals, and it's just a movie, but there was a little rubbing and stuff that I just was very uncomfortable with, but it added to the movie though, guys. Alright guys, now is your time. Go ahead and give that thumbs up an awkward rub. Go ahead, give it if you like what we're doing here at Comic Universe, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, guys. If this is your first time checking us out, we do all kinds of different videos, touch on all type of nerd topics, and we're only trying to grow the brand to get bigger and better, to create a platform for us all to nerd out and geek out together. Guys, until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace!